Here's what nobody's talking about yet. The CEO of Amazon went straight to government regulators with warnings about Anthropic's AI models. Not in a public letter, not at a conference. Behind closed doors, before any official investigation, before any headlines. This move reveals something stunning about the tech industry right now. The biggest AI companies don't trust each other, and when the chips are down, they'll use regulators as a weapon against rivals. Amazon and Anthropic have a complicated history. Amazon invested billions into Anthropic, betting on Claude as a competitive advantage. But somewhere along the line, those same Anthropic models began looking dangerous to Amazon's interests. Maybe Claude was getting too good. Maybe there were safety concerns that kept Amazon awake at night. Or maybe the real worry was competitive, that Anthropic's technology posed a threat Amazon couldn't ignore. So instead of competing head-on, Amazon's CEO decided to flip the board. He went to government regulators and painted a picture of Anthropic's models as a regulatory problem, a safety issue that demanded government action. This is the story of how big tech companies fight each other, and it raises a question that should concern all of us. When companies with billions at stake whisper warnings to government, how do you know what's genuine safety concern and what's just another move in corporate chess? To understand why Amazon is now worried about Anthropic, we need to go back about 18 months. Amazon made a massive bet on artificial intelligence. They invested up to $4 billion into Anthropic, the AI safety company founded by former OpenAI researchers. That was the core strategic play. Anthropic was building Claude, an AI model that many experts thought rivaled or even beat OpenAI's models for reasoning and accuracy. Amazon needed a powerful AI engine for web services, their massive cloud platform where millions of businesses run applications daily. Getting inside access to Claude seemed like genius strategy. But here's what changed. Claude became available to everyone. Anthropic released it publicly on their own website, partnered with Google, offered API access to the entire market. Suddenly, Amazon's supposed exclusive advantage wasn't exclusive at all. And worse, Claude was gaining serious respect as one of the best reasoning models available anywhere. That created a problem. Amazon found itself in an awkward position. They'd invested billions into a company that was now their competitor, but they couldn't just walk away or badmouth their investment. They had to figure out how to compete while Anthropic kept improving Claude. So when Amazon's leadership sensed an opportunity, a regulatory opening where they could raise concerns about Anthropic's technology, they took it. And that's the moment this story really begins. Now here's what makes this situation complicated. We don't know the exact details of what Amazon's CEO told regulators. TechCrunch broke the story, but the government agencies involved aren't publishing transcripts. What we do know is the timing. The concerns about Anthropic's models came right before a broader government crackdown on AI safety and capabilities. Federal agencies started asking harder questions about whether large language models like Claude pose risks. They wanted to know more about the training processes, the safety testing, the potential misuse scenarios. Amazon's warning apparently gave regulators extra ammunition to investigate Anthropic specifically. The concerns were framed around safety, whether Anthropic's models had been tested thoroughly enough, whether there were risks that hadn't been disclosed. But here's where corporate strategy and genuine safety concern get blurry. Is Amazon raising legitimate safety concerns? Possibly. Large language models do have real risks. But is Amazon also trying to slow down a competitor? That's the question nobody can answer definitively. It's corporate chess dressed up as safety advocacy. This pattern is becoming more common. Companies are learning they can weaponize regulatory concerns. Instead of beating competitors on product quality or innovation, they use government to create barriers. It's faster and it's legal. And it's exactly what happened here. So what actually happened after Amazon's CEO went to regulators? The government investigation into Anthropic kicked into higher gear. Federal agencies started examining Anthropic's model training procedures, their safety testing protocols, and their disclosure practices. Anthropic faced new scrutiny they didn't see coming. They had to spend time and resources responding to government inquiries instead of building products. The investigation created uncertainty in the market. If government regulators found serious problems with Claude, what would happen? Would there be restrictions, new regulations, licensing requirements? That uncertainty hurt Anthropic's ability to grow. Meanwhile, Amazon got something valuable. They got a competitor bogged down in regulatory process. They got breathing room to develop their own AI capabilities. That's the real victory here, not necessarily getting Anthropic crushed, but slowing them down enough for Amazon to catch up. We've also seen reports that government agencies are now considering tighter oversight of AI models. There's talk of new regulations, safety standards, mandatory testing before models can be released to the public. All of this creates additional friction for Anthropic, while Amazon, with their massive resources and government relationships, can navigate new regulations more easily. That's how corporate influence works in the real world. It's not always dramatic. It's often just about moving slow for competitors while you move fast. This isn't the first time a tech company has used regulators against a rival, but it's revealing how common this has become in AI. Let's compare it to other big tech battles. Apple has repeatedly lobbied against Android, not by building better products, but by filing complaints with regulators. Google got investigated by the United States Justice Department partly because Microsoft raised concerns about Google's search practices. Meta spent millions lobbying against regulations that would hit Meta harder than competitors. This is a pattern. When companies feel threatened by innovation, they don't always compete, they regulate. The difference with the Amazon Anthropic situation is that it involves AI, which everyone agrees needs smarter regulation. Safety concerns are legitimate, but they're also a convenient cover for corporate competition. Compare this to the smartphone wars a decade ago. When Apple lost market share to Android, they didn't go to government and say Android was unsafe. They built better phones and marketed them harder. But AI is different. AI actually does pose real risks. There are legitimate safety questions about large language models. That makes it much easier for Amazon to frame a competitive move as a public service. They can tell regulators they are worried about safety. They can tell shareholders they are competitive. And technically, both things can be true at the same time. That's what makes this situation so interesting. It's not outright corruption. It's playing the game smarter than everyone else. If this Amazon move succeeds, if government crackdowns actually slow Anthropic down, then we are entering a new era of tech competition. Companies with established government relationships will have a massive advantage. They won't need to innovate faster. They just need to whisper the right words to the right regulators. That's bad for innovation. It's bad for startups. It's bad for competition. Anthropic is a relatively young company compared to Amazon. They don't have the lobbying budget. They don't have the government relationships. If bigger tech companies learn they can use regulatory process to eliminate rivals, smaller companies are in trouble. We should also expect more of this. Once Amazon realizes it works, OpenAI will try it against their rivals. Google will use it. Meta will use it. Every major tech company will have a regulatory strategy that's really a competitive strategy. That's not hypothetical. We are already seeing it with ByteDance and TikTok, where American tech companies are pushing for government restrictions. The difference is that AI regulation might actually be justified. But when that regulation gets shaped by corporate interests, it stops being about public safety and becomes about protecting market position. That's the real danger here. We might get regulations that are less about actual AI safety and more about protecting established players from disruption. So how do you cut through all this? How do you figure out what's genuine concern and what's corporate strategy? Here's a framework. First, ask who benefits. If a regulation primarily benefits an established player while hurting smaller competitors, that's a red flag. Genuine safety regulations usually apply equally to everyone. Second, look at the track record. Has this company raised similar concerns about other competitors? Or did they suddenly discover this safety issue the moment a rival got too good? That matters. Third, examine the specifics. Real safety concerns are usually detailed. They point to specific risks, specific test failures, specific evidence of problems. Generic warnings about vague risks are often just fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Fourth, follow the power. Who has more resources to comply with new regulations? Established companies usually do. If a proposed regulation favors the status quo, it's probably not about safety. Finally, think about incentives. Would this person benefit financially or competitively from the regulation they are proposing? If yes, take everything they say with serious skepticism. Apply these questions to the Amazon Anthropic situation. Ask yourself which company benefits from government crackdowns. Ask which company has more resources to navigate new regulations. Ask which company has more to lose from unconstrained competition. Those answers will tell you a lot about what's really happening. Here's what you need to understand about this story. Big tech companies are learning to use government as a weapon. It's subtle, it's legal, and it's becoming standard business practice. The Amazon Anthropic situation is a window into how that game works. One more thing, watch what happens next. Does the government crackdown actually focus on Anthropic, or does it apply to all large language models equally? That'll tell you whether regulators are actually concerned about safety or whether they just got influenced by corporate lobbying. And watch what Amazon does next. Do they fix the problems they said Anthropic has, or do they just try to build their own competing models? Their actions will reveal whether this was about safety or strategy. This matters because it affects the future of AI development. If innovation gets slowed by corporate warfare masquerading as regulation, we all lose. We get slower progress, higher prices, less competition, and fewer choices. The challenge is that real AI safety regulations probably are necessary, but they need to be designed carefully, without corporate influence, with genuine safety as the goal. That's the hard part. That's what should concern you. Follow for daily AI news. We dig beyond the headlines to show you what's really happening in tech, because understanding the game is how you stay ahead of it.